Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of enterprise leaders right now are feeling what you could call pilot fatigue. They've run dozens of AI experiments, but they're not getting that scaled enterprise-wide transformation.
Not at all.
So what we have today is a blueprint. Some people call it the Frontier Success Framework, and we're going to reframe it as a practical, really an execution-ready AI success playbook for you. The mission here is to analyze this map and show how to actually transform a business using Agentic AI.
And that's such a critical distinction, right?
Yeah.
The jump from pilots to actual scaled success. And that's why this framework is so powerful. We're seeing this fundamental shift.
Right.
The large language models, they're rapidly becoming a commodity. The real, the differentiated advantage for any enterprise. It doesn't come from which model you pick.
No.
It comes from your own data, your unique workflows, and this is the most important part, the specialized engines you build on top of them. This framework sees AI as the new production layer of software.
Okay, hold on. I think we need to pause on that term, Agentic AI. We're going to be using it a lot, so let's make sure everyone listening knows exactly what we mean, because that's where the real change happens.
That's a great point, yeah. When we talk about agentic AI, we're not just talking about, a chatbot that answers a question. We're talking about AI that can take actions. It can chain together multiple steps. It can plan tasks on its own and execute decisions inside your core systems. It's AI moving beyond just observing and into execution.
So these are the workers, or maybe even the co-designers, of the future enterprise.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for the leaders listening in? This playbook identifies 4 core pillars, 4 really clear outcome areas to focus your agentic AI investment. We'll unpack them one by one. There's enriching employee experiences,
Reinventing customer engagement,
reshaping core business processes.
and the big one, bending the curve on innovation.
And this isn't just theory. This feels like the operating manual for actually getting to that scaled agentic enterprise you've been aiming for.
It really is.
So let's start with pillar 1. Enrich employee experiences. The goal here seems to be pure augmentation, not replacement.
Precisely. The whole point of this pillar is to offload that cognitive drudgery and augment complex decision-making. You're effectively putting every single employee on AI superpowers.
Reducing the toil and increasing the joy, as they say.
That's it. And the value is almost instantaneous because it touches every employee every single day.
And we're seeing this work already. I mean, HCA Healthcare is a fantastic example. They use generative AI to auto-draft clinical notes.
Right.
And that frees up doctors to spend way less time on documentation, which is the definition of drudgery, and more time actually focused on their patients. It's augmenting a super high-value worker.
And that's not just limited to, physical patient-facing work. Consulting firms like McKinsey, they've reported that nearly 40% of their analyst work is now analytics or AI-related. It directly augments how they do research and client work.
So it's being embedded directly into the workflow.
Yeah, exactly. For highly skilled professionals.
Right. But this is where the data gets a bit concerning, at least when it comes to global readiness. Our sources show this incredible enthusiasm, especially in places like India, where 94% of enterprises use Gen AI in at least one function.
That's one of the highest rates in the world?
It is, but at the same time, only 29% of them feel they're investing enough in the skills and the enablement to use it properly. I mean, that's a huge disconnect.
That gap that highlights the massive management challenge for CXOs. You can't just treat AI like a new tool you roll out. It has to be the new employee experience layer embedded right into your daily tools, your CRM, email, IDEs. It demands a shift from, tool rollouts to fundamental work redesign.
So what does that look like practically? If we're saying AI drafts, human edits, who writes those rules? Do you need a new role, like an AI workflow manager, to define these processes?
Absolutely. The organization needs defined playbooks, which is where this framework is so useful. You can't just tell an employee, hey, use AI. You have to define the rule set. For this type of report, the AI produces the first draft using these 3 data inputs, and the human's role is validation and tone setting. That needs a central mandate.
And if you don't address that skills gap and that management layer, you run straight into the big risk, the sources flag, productivity inequality. We hear that term a lot, but how does it actually show up in the workplace?
It creates these internal tiers of knowledge workers. If AI access and training are only available to a small group of power users, their productivity just skyrockets while everyone else stagnates.
And that leads to resentment.
Resentment, friction, and ultimately resistance to the new systems. The skills and mindset gaps are the primary blockers, even more than the cost of the tech. You have to democratize it or you'll fracture your own workforce.
That is a powerful warning. Okay, so we've covered the internal workforce. Let's pivot to pillar 2, reinvent customer engagement. We're talking about moving from those awful static IVRs to hyper-personalized experiences.
This pillar is all about leveraging context-rich, omnichannel AI agents. And these agents have to understand not just language and intent, but a customer's entire history across every single touch point. The key here, the prerequisite, is data unification.
Right.
The quality of your AI engagement is a direct function of how well your data is unified and activated. Your data is the raw material.
And the potential value is. It's enormous.
Okay.
In sectors like banking and finance, Gen AI is expected to realize somewhere between $200 and $340 billion in value annually.
Wow.
And that's mostly through automating advisory tasks and delivering smarter, instant personalization at scale.
And that kind of value shifts the whole mandate for leaders. They have to move away from those siloed chatbots that lose context the second you switch from the web to the app. The goal is a persistent agent that carries the conversation seamlessly from the website to the app, straight into the contact center. It should feel like one single conversation.
But we're dealing with high-stakes information here. Financial, health. So this high-impact area must come with massive governance and trust risks.
Yeah.
What does a catastrophic failure look like?
The risk is a systemic erosion of trust caused by hallucinations or bias. Imagine a banking agent. You ask it about a complex loan, and it just fabricates a payment schedule, or it misstates a penalty clause.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
It's immediate, it's high liability, and it's trust-destroying. Building this kind of AI requires a governed data foundation with crystal clear policies for privacy, consent, and bias. If your models aren't tightly constrained, the regulatory exposure is just severe.
Okay, let's move to pillar 3. Reshape core business processes. This is where agentic AI moves out of that customer layer and gets into the guts of the company, right? The operational engine.
This is a fundamental re-architecture. It's about embedding prediction, automation, and agents directly inside your core systems, your ERP, your supply chain management, not just using Gen AI as a shiny overlay. Development has to start with the desired business outcomes and evaluation rubrics. It has to be focused on P&L impact.
And we can see this commitment in the numbers. Enterprise Gen AI spend is projected to just skyrocket from around $11.5 billion in 2024 to a massive $37 billion in 2025.
A 3.2x increase.
Exactly. That kind of growth isn't just testing the waters. It signals C-suites are budgeting to industrialize this stuff into their mission-critical workflows.
It does. And the actionable takeaway here is to treat AI as a process co-designer. Leaders need to redesign core workflows, like order to cash, assuming agents are available at every decision point, making rapid, informed decisions. These programs have to align directly with KPIs, like a 15% cycle time reduction or lowering your cost to serve.
But the reality is that many of these core systems, these ERPs, are, well, they're decades old, they're fragmented, full of technical debt. What's the main risk when you try to integrate modern agents into these old structures?
The main risk is fragmentation and building brittle solutions. It's like trying to put a high-speed spaceship engine, which is Gen AI, on top of a Model T chassis, which is your legacy ERP.
It's just going to fall apart.
The whole structure is too weak and fragmented. If you layer Gen AI on top of fragmented systems without unifying your data first, you end up with expensive, brittle solutions that fail the first time a business variable changes.
That need for robustness brings up a key term we should probably clarify: operational governance. What's required beyond just basic testing? You mentioned drift detection.
Yeah, robust operations are mandatory. We're talking about the entire AI system lifecycle. So that includes continuous testing, but also drift detection. In simple terms, that just means having automated checks to monitor real-world data and compare it against the data the agent was trained on.
So if reality changes.
Exactly. If your supply chain shifts or customer behavior changes and the agent keeps making decisions based on an outdated reality, it has drifted. Incident response and continuous recalibration are absolutely mandatory, not optional.
Which brings us to the most strategic pillar of all, pillar 4. Bend the curve of innovation. This is moving beyond just optimizing efficiency. This is about using agentic AI to change the entire shape of a company's innovation trajectory.
This is the real call to action for every CEO. Move from optimization to creation. Agentic AI should be the tool you use to build what was previously considered impossible, leading to entirely new products, new business models, new categories of revenue.
And the market is definitely moving this way. Sources show more than 80% of organizations are actively exploring autonomous agents. That's a clear signal they want AI that takes action, not just answers questions.
Right. And that competitive edge, it requires moving toward custom AI applications tailored to your unique data, not just using off-the-shelf tools.
So to manage this kind of high-speed innovation, what kind of organizational structure do you need?
You need something new. We're seeing the rise of the AI foundry inside the enterprise. It's a dedicated, cross-functional space where teams can rapidly prototype, test, and scale new AI-native offerings separate from the rigidity of the core business.
But how do you measure success here? How do you avoid what you've called innovation theater?
You have to change the metrics. It's that simple. You stop tracking incremental improvement and you start tracking the speed and scale of genuine novelty.
So, time from idea to experiment.
Time from idea to experiment. The volume of new AI-enabled features you release, and crucially, the percentage of revenue that's derived directly from these AI-native offerings. If it isn't tied to revenue or faster cycles, it's probably just theater.
So if we pull this all together, this frontier success framework, it feels fundamentally different from the traditional consulting frameworks we've seen. Why is that?
The key difference is the organizing principle. Traditional frameworks, from McKinsey or BCG, they tend to emphasize capabilities, data maturity, talent, governance. The frontier framework is outcome first. By organizing around 4 clear business outcomes, employees, customers, processes, innovation, it provides immediate strategic direction. It makes it way easier for a CEO or a board to prioritize resources and align their P&L goals to specific AI investments.
And what makes this specific model so future ready?
Because it explicitly aligns with 3 structural shifts that are, frankly, inevitable. First, that AI is the production layer of all software. It's foundational. Second, that enterprise data is the true differentiator because the models are becoming commodities. And third, it fully embraces the agentic AI trajectory, the move toward AI that actively takes action.
That structural alignment is incredibly powerful. So finally, which industries are poised to capture the most immediate value from this blueprint?
Well, you're looking for sectors that are data-rich, people-intensive, and regulation-heavy. So banking and financial services, for sure, healthcare and life sciences, like we saw with HCA, and then large-scale, complex environments like retail and the public sector. We're even seeing deployments like India's Mahakrim OS using AI to reshape frontline public services.
It's pretty clear that even though enterprise AI spend is tripling, global maturity is still quite low. A simple, outcome-aligned blueprint like this one. It really feels like the architectural spine for how AI-native enterprises are going to have to operate for the next decade. This isn't about iteration, it's reinvention.
Exactly. The framework forces every leader to answer one central question. Are you just optimizing existing work around the edges, or are you truly using agentic AI to change the shape of your business and create brand new value?
And that leads us to the final provocative thought we want to leave you with today. We talk about how this framework suggests treating AI not just as a tool, but as a process co-designer. So we challenge you to identify one existing mission-critical workflow in your organization, the one that's currently constrained by old human-centric assumptions, and ask yourself, if an autonomous agent could start from a clean sheet of paper, how would it fundamentally redesign that workflow from the ground up to achieve maximum efficiency and outcome?
Because that's where the true large-scale transformation really lies.